Hey there, everybody. My name's Dave. I'm one of the pastors here, and I'm excited to be able to spend a little bit of time with you today, just sharing a little bit about what God has shown to me and just the ways He works in my weird, kind of jacked up brain. And my hope is that in somehow me sharing what He's talking to me about, that He would speak to you in a real way today. And I hope that you can set aside distractions, no matter what's going on. If you're at the office, listen to this on your drive. Maybe you just put the kids to bed and you just like are passing out in the the recliner, hoping you can get back up and do what you need to do. Wherever you are, set aside some distractions and just allow me to share what God's speaking to me. Now, if you, it was a little while ago, I heard this story about a young man in Australia who was driving home, and he's driving in his work truck, it's a flatbed truck, and he's in the cab, and he looks over in the floorboard of the passenger side. He's by himself, and he sees a snake. Now, it's not just like some little, pet garter snake. This is the eastern brown snake, and he's in Australia. That snake is responsible for the majority of snake bite deaths in Australia. And not only that, but its venom is extremely fast acting. Like, you die within minutes. I think they can take down an elephant within hours. Like, it takes down a man within minutes. Well, here's this snake. You'd like to think he's minding his own business, but he doesn't. He begins to crawl over the floorboard and wrap himself around this guy's leg. And he's coming up kind of in a little sensitive region, if you get where I'm going. So this guy's driving down the highway. He can't pull over quick enough. He's trying to pull over, but then there's this snake in his lap, and it's striking at him. This dude is a stud. He kills the snake with a seatbelt and a knife. Crazy. Well, he's flipping out, understandably so. He gets over to the side of the road, gets the dead snake out and throws it in the back of the truck. And he knows that the venom, it can kill him within minutes. So he decides he needs to just hightail it to the hospital, right? So he gets back in his truck, hits the road, and he's driving. Well, you think that's bad. It gets worse. He's driving. He passes a police officer who has no idea what's just gone on. He's a law-abiding citizen, so he pulls over for the police officer. As the officer comes up, he's yelling out the window, "I've been bitten by a brown snake. I need to get to the hospital. Can you help me out? It's in the back of the truck." Police officer goes back, looks, realizes what's going on, calls an ambulance. They get there. And here's the crazy thing. The guy had never been bitten. He had no injuries whatsoever. But the threat of what could have happened had got his body reacting in an emotional way where he wasn't able to really assess what was going on, and he was having a panic attack. Now, he said in the article, it was pretty terrifying. That's like the understatement of the century, I would think. But it's one of those crazy things that oftentimes we find ourselves alone. We have something come up in our lives. We're alone, and we feel like we've got to deal with it on our own. And what do we do? I mean, that explains a lot of our weeks or days or even minutes over the last year or so. And I want to tell you something, what this guy named Peter, who started the church, what he tells his friends in a letter in 1 Peter 5, he says, "Stay alert, watch out for the great enemy, the devil." That's Satan. "He prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour." And then he says this, he says, "Stand firm against him and be strong in your faith." I don't know about you, but this last year I've had a lot of moments. I struggle with anger. I do. I have to separate myself and just take a deep breath. You'll hear me say that a lot, just take a breath, because I have to do that. But how many times have you had something come at you, whether it's a friend, whether it's someone you don't like, a coworker, a kid, a parent, your spouse, and your immediate reaction is like, "I can't believe you're doing this." You want to turn into the Hulk, Hulk smash. That's a normal reaction. A lot of us feel that. But that's not what we need to be doing. We don't need to be overreacting to what's going on. We need to stand firm, and we need to be strong in our faith. Even though we're in that moment, we feel like we're at odds with one person, we're going at it alone, God is always there with us to guide us and direct us as Satan comes and attacks us. In our 21-day fast, we set aside time to be faithful in prayer, to be listening to God and to talking to God. We set aside time to be reading His Word that He wrote through all these different people to speak to us uniquely in each and every moment. So we spend time reading that, and then we spend time disciplining ourselves through fasting and other things to set ourselves up and say, God, use me. And when we do that as a regular basis, not just 21 days, we have those disciplines. God can work in us in mighty ways, and we're never truly alone. Peter goes on and he says, you may suffer. He says, after you've suffered a little while, God will restore, support, and strengthen you, and he will place you on a firm foundation. So maybe you have something going on today that you feel like you're fighting alone. Maybe you feel like you're in your truck, you're fighting off the snake by yourself. I want you to know that you are never alone. You are standing there with Jesus, using the exact same power that he brought to conquer the grave, to raise the dead back to life, to heal the blind, to open the ears of the deaf. That very same power is in you today. So I hope that you have a great day. I hope that God speaks to you today and you realize you are never fighting this battle alone. I'm Dave. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.